Hi everyone, and welcome to And So On Knitting Edition. My name is Lisa, and today I have one FO and two makes on the go. So thanks so much to everyone who watched my last podcast. I really am trying to become more consistent with my knitting podcast, and I'm keeping it separate from the sewing podcast because not every sewer wants to know about knitting and not every knitter wants to know about sewing. So I thought best to just keep them separate. So it's been a really great week of knitting, mostly because it has not been a great week for me health-wise, and nothing alarming or anything like that, but I hurt my foot. I hurt my Achilles tendon, I think. And so I haven't been able to walk very well. I haven't been able to go to yoga. I haven't been able to go on walks with my hubby. Yeah, it's been a big old pain, I gotta say. And then on top of that, I also had a cold. So I spent a lot of time knitting the last week. So at least I have some lovely things to show for it. So I finished, first of all, my weekender sweater, and I'll put in some photos for you guys to see, because standing up just isn't gonna work right now. So these are the photos of my weekender, and I love it. It's turned out really well. I love this detail on the shoulder and how you stitch it down like that. I made it out of this Patagonia wool from Juniper Moon Farms, and actually, I have this much left. Actually, and I have another really small ball as well. So I figure, I mean, that means that I made this out of 2.5 skeins of yarn. So that's pretty great. I could definitely see making this again. This yarn is 100% organic merino. So right now I'm wearing it against my skin because, well, I like this neckline, and when you wear it with a t-shirt, you can't really see that neckline. So I wanted you guys to see it like that. You can see the seam down the front. Anyway, that's why I'm wearing it against my skin. I don't know that I do that every day. It is a little tiny bit picky. And so I think with this, I might do a hat or something more outdoorsy. But I could definitely see myself making this pattern again. It was super quick. So funny story, if you remember last time I said that I hadn't done the sleeves yet, right? I think I had done one sleeve and I hadn't done the other sleeve. Gosh, I can't remember, but either way, I said, okay, I'm not going to start my ambient pullover until I start the sleeve on the sweater. And I told you guys that. And then later on that night, I was like, I really want to cast that on. And so I broke, and I tried to cast it on, and the operative word there is tried 3 times. And 3 times I was trying to cast it on in magic loop, and it just was not working for me at all. It was like the knitting god said, you made a commitment to do that other sleeve before you started that sweater. And so the knitting gods wouldn't let me cast it on. But then the next day I did cast it on. And like I said, I have two whips. I have one more finished object that I can show you here. If you just saw my last sewing video, you already saw it. But now, this is a project bag made with the leftover fabric from a top that I made last week. So it's lined. Now, I am no Sandy by the Lakeside, clearly, but it turned out pretty cute. This side is better. I'm not going to show you. Well, you probably saw the other side. Oops. Uh-oh. See, these lines are supposed to match. A little picky maybe, but this is much nicer. Anyway, so this is great. It's a perfect size for a sweater. I have some different Julia's yarns in here right now. I didn't line the inside of this. I only lined the outside, and now I really wish that I had lined the inside as well, because when I've made project bags in the past, I've used a heavier fabric, and I didn't account for the fact that this is mostly quilting cotton, except for the chambray on the bottom and the top, and it really needs more support. So I really should have lined the inside as well, but live and learn. It has a little drawstring that I did again in that same contrast fabric, and I'll link up below the video that I used to find this. Now I'm going to be using this, presenting this on the Minerva.com blog. So if you want to follow over there, you'll see all the step outs of me making this. Okay, like I said, works in progress. So I am making the Ambient Pullover, and I'll put in a picture by Airy, and I love this this pullover. And it's funny, because so I watch the Grocery Girls, I'm sure you guys do too, and I remember Jody always saying, I'm never gonna make a fingering sweater, I'm never gonna make a fingering sweater. And I was like, why not? What's the problem? takes forever. It's so slow. I've made so many socks and stuff like that and lots of things with fingering yarn, but I haven't done a full sweater in fingering, and it does feel really, really slow. So I've actually made quite a dent in it. Now I only cast this on maybe Thursday or Friday. So it's been about a week, and look at that beautiful pattern. Isn't that gorgeous? This slip stitch pattern. And I am alternating skeins just in the, this is what I did. This is the yarn here. So this is Malabrigo sock yarn in Plomo. It's gorgeous, right? Really rich color. So basically when I got down to probably double or so this one here, I started helical knitting with this one, and so far so good. And then I also had to strand in. I stranded in this beautiful, beautiful yarn, and I can't remember off the top of my head what it's called, so I'll just write it below. It's interesting. This is the first time that I've worked with mohair that's not Shibui Silk Cloud, and this feels more mohair-y. Like it's kind of getting everywhere. It's kind of getting like in my nose, in my throat. So yeah, I'm glad the whole sweater isn't like this, let's just say. But I love the effect that it has on this beautiful, beautiful pattern. Now, you know the Japanese thing where it's like, okay, so this week I'm all about what my whips are teaching me. And with this one, you know how sometimes like you look at things that are like Japanese art or design and it looks really, really simple. And then you remember that simple is really difficult. Simple takes focus and precision, and I'm not really known for focus and precision. I'm more great sweeping creativity and energy and precision, even in my sewing too, right? Like I still have never made a buttonhole because I just haven't. I just haven't. But it's like I see something and I want to make it, and sometimes it's kind of, you know, the pattern and the rules sort of fade into the background. And so I had to rip this back 3 times because I wasn't paying attention. Plain and simple, I wasn't paying attention. And so I missed an increase row, or I did the increase row too early. So 3 times I had to rip this back. And in the end, I just had to sit there and not assume that I knew what I was doing. I needed to sit there and I needed to check off the rows one by one. And it's not that difficult. That's the thing about it, right? Like this is a 4-row repeat. But some have the mohair, some don't. Some start differently and end differently. And then how many times do you do it? And it's like, it's a pattern, right? Hello, that's a pattern, Lisa. But I kind of go, oh, I know that. And I just keep going. Anyway, I had to rip it back 3 times. So then I decided, okay, I'm going to sit here and I'm just going to be really, really methodical about it. But that got tiring and kind of not tiring, but I like to knit and do other things, right? Like I want to be able to listen to podcasts. I want to be able to go downstairs and sit on the couch and hang out with family. And if I have to sit at a table with 2 balls of yarn in front of me and knit, and it's just this first part, right? Like now that I'm here, I can do whatever. It's just this first part that takes, for me, a little more focus. So then I was like, well, maybe I should cast on something else. And I had got a comment on my last video by my friend James. Hi, James, who's one of my oldest and dearest friends, also a knitter. And when I was talking about that Julie Asselin Fino yarn that I have, so here's some of it here. So this is some of the Julie Asselin Fino. As you can see, it's now rolled and being used. And I could see James saying, you're overthinking this. Like, no matter what you do with that yarn, it's going to be gorgeous. And I went back and looked at it and I was like, I have such a pained look on my face. It's yarn, it's knitting. Like, have fun with it. Don't take it so seriously. Kind of the opposite of, you know, what I was doing with the ambient of practicing precision and mindfulness. There's also, you know, something that's paralyzing about not wanting to mess something up. And there's so many fears in life, so many true, real fears. we can't be fearful in our knitting. Like that's just, I decided, no, I will not be fearful in my knitting. I'm just going to cast something on. So I cast on the Pouf cardigan. I'll put in a picture, and that's the one that I had been talking about that inspired me. And I thought, you know what a perfect pattern to be my sweater for Barcelona Knits, because Barcelona Knits is coming up next week, and I've made a sweater that is out of my comfort zone. I actually have already finished the body. I started it on Saturday, and let's see. Okay, so here it is. Here's the body of the Pouf cardigan. And I basically threw the kitchen sink at it. I was like, if this is gonna be, you know, color and fearless, then I'm gonna throw the kitchen sink at it. And it's so this is the body, and then you have to do the sleeves, which are a balloon sleeve, and then also do the collar. So I just started at the top with the fade, started with this birch color, and then moved into pixelated, which is this one, and overlapped those. And then in came Kavana, that's in here. I also pulled in different things that I had around because I wanted to kind of use stuff up. So this is actually the end of that yarn that I used in Lily's socks last week. This is a little bit of Knit Crate yarn. This is some Sweet Georgia Tough Love sock yarn that I used last year that I had a bunch of. This I even stole from the Ambient, a couple of lines. And I just decided to go for it and play, right? Like as adults, we so rarely get to play. And I was like, I'm just gonna play. And is it my normal tone-on-tone, elegant type thing? No, but I really like it. And I mean, when I first did this, I was like, oh no, why did I do that? And then I thought, well, let's just embrace it and let's add a little more color. And so now what I have to decide is, I have to decide what I'm gonna do with the sleeves and what I'm gonna do with the collar. So I'll put in a picture again, and I can't decide so part of it is that I only have so much yarn left, right? And of course, the most that I have is this Midnight Oil color, but it's very, very dark. Well, Midnight Oil, right? Of course. I have a ton of that left, and I could keep it mostly and use it for a hat. Like I could do something beautiful with that. It's such beautiful yarn, this Fino. It will kind of come in as I'm doing the sleeve. It'll come down. You try and match kind of what you've done here. And then at the bottom, I even put in a little bit of this, which is the Leo and Roxy Mink colorway. Oops, my thing's going. Leo and Roxy Mink colorway that I also made Lily's socks out of. And I mixed these two together because I didn't want it to go back to like a very stark color. I wanted it to be still a little bit marled. And it is a really nice way, holding it double, it's lovely. Like it just feels so great. It's really lovely to knit. You know, you knit it, knit one way, purl back. So now I have to decide what I want to do for the collar. You know, do I want to stick with this? Do I want to go back to a mixture of the birch and the pixelated, which is ideally, I think I would like to do that because it's, let me see if I can adjust here. Yeah. I love the little bursts of color that come in here, right? And you get like these little V's of color that come through. And I thought like that would be nice. It's getting heavy to hold it up. And then also the cuffs as well. You know, like for the cuff, do I go in the black? Do I bring this back in and have it be a really saturated cuff? Anyway, let me know below what you think. Again, like something like this would be out of my comfort zone, but it would make it a really fun statement piece, right? Even the black would be not what I would normally do. You know, I would more normally finish something like this, but maybe you just kind of gotta go for it. So I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Okay, and lastly, on the subject of Barcelona knits. So my husband, who watches this, hey babe, feels that I have enough yarn. Okay, see back there? See those 3 things? That's all my yarn. Mostly because now I'm knitting it all up, right? I've got 2 sweaters on the go. So pretty much everything that I had a week ago, I only have this left. And this one is going to be in this sweater by the end of it, right? And I told him, I was like, I'm going to Barcelona Knits and I am going to buy yarn. Like I am. I'm so looking forward to it. But I want to have things in mind so that I don't just go and randomly buy, you know, single skeins of yarn. Like I really want to have ideas in mind of patterns that I want to use and have everything written down in terms of weight and quantity so that when I see something, if it sparks, then I can buy something with a purpose. So I have here, I'm going to pull up my Ravelry and tell you some of the patterns that I'm thinking of. And you can let me know if there's anything that, you know, you think that I should be considering as well. So I've been watching lots and lots of podcasts lately, and I definitely want to maybe share some of my favorite podcasters with you guys. I know that I shared Cardi Jax with you last week, and I have a whole bunch of others. So maybe I'll do a podcaster special or something like that pretty soon. Hang on, I'm just bringing up my Ravelry thing here. Okay, so most of the sweaters that I'm looking at, I want to do like a DK weight sweater or a worsted. I think doing this fingering weight one that I'm doing right now will probably be enough fingering weight sweater for a bit. So in terms of fingering weight, there is a free pattern called the Bojagi shawl. I'll put in a picture. This is a free pattern, at least it was when I got it. I can't guarantee if it's free now. But what I like about this is I love the texture changing. One thing with shawls is I kind of get bored after a while. They're so big. I feel like it's enough yarn that you can knit a sweater. And I mean, I guess a shawl you can wear more often, which is the point of shawls, but I haven't really got into shawl knitting. I mean, I do have a few, don't get me wrong. I just did that wrap recently, and I tend to do cowls more than shawls, but this one I thought was kind of cool, and it's just two skeins of fingering weight. So I thought if I found 2 cool skeins of fingering that really spoke to me, that were a nice contrast, that could be good. Okay, and then here are a few sweaters that I'm looking at, and I'm just kind of going to say them and show you pictures, and you can tell me what you think. So there's the Ambient Pullover, which is by Tin Can Knits, another fellow Canadian. So I love that. And I do want to start doing a little more texture, and I haven't done a ton of that. So I thought that would be a cool thing for that. The Botanical Yoke Pullover by Pearl Soho. I just saw, what's her name? At New York Year. No, at the New York Year is her handle. Wow, she's got gorgeous stuff and totally my style. I love this pullover, and I think, again, its texture could be cool. The Stlactite is by Camille Rossel, and I saw that Lisa, that I can get that confused is hilarious. Lisa of Espace Tricot knit that and wore it to Rhinebeck, and love that one. I thought that could be really cool. Also, the Missoni Accomplished by Melissa of Espace Tricot could be fun too. I haven't done any real color work, mostly just like stripes. So I've heard this is a very easy color work pattern to get kind of started. The one time I did color work, I did socks and I couldn't even get them on. They were so tight. So I know I just have to kind of jump in and do it again, but this might be a good option. If I did decide to do a sweater in fingering, this knot front tee, I love. I feel like that would be really flattering. I don't come in a ton in the waist. I'm fairly straight up and down. So having that accentuating of the waist, I think would be really, really flattering. Also in fingering, there's the Moving Forward wrap by my friend Denise Byron of Byron Handmade. And I definitely want to make this. I bought it a couple days ago and I'm dying to make it. And again, I like that it changes up. It's not just the same thing over time. I also like the idea of it, that it's about moving forward. It's like taking your arrow, your inner direction, and following it and making that statement by wearing it. So I really want to make that. So I'll be looking for fabric for that. Yarn to turn into fabric. There's the Winterfell cardigan which is also pretty amazing. And there's a version in Aran weight, which I think would be great. I love the direction of that. Again, a little bit of texture. I don't know, that's a possibility. And then lastly is the Metropolis by Tanis Lavallee of Tanis Fiber Arts. So if that were to work out, if I were to find a bulky or chunky yarn that I really liked, that could be really great as well. And then there's always the Ranunculus, which I've wanted to make forever, and I kind of fell to the back burner. So those are a couple sweaters that I'm thinking of. I would love to hear what sweaters you're thinking of, or shawls or whatever. I also want to try brioche at some point, but I don't know, the Harlow hat was recommended to me, so I might buy Andrea Mowry, so I might look at that. Anyway, right now it's all just ideas, no commitment because I'm knitting 2 sweaters. I do want to cast something else on though. I'm a little bit itchy to cast something else on, but 2 sweaters, I think that's about good. Okay guys, that's all for me for this week. I will hopefully see you really, really soon. Thanks so much for coming by. Let me know below if you enjoyed this and you'd like me to keep podcasting about my knitting. Please do give it a like. Please do give it a thumbs up if you get the chance, and share it with a knitter friend. I would love to have more knitters hang around with me on this podcast. Okay, I will talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.